It's the BKBK podcast where sports and the culture collide and the New York Jets reign supreme. I'm your host, Brandon Phillips, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Brian Taylor, Kerry Taylor, and Captain Kyle McKenna. Yeah, it's football time, and the Jets are officially undefeated. You heard what I said, and you can't call me a liar either. If you think about it, we're undefeated in the preseason, undefeated in the draft, and undefeated in free agency. Once again, tell me I'm lying. You know you can't, but that's not the question. The question is, how do the Jets stay undefeated or at least show a lot of promise? I'm going to go ahead and say it's the coaching. Let's talk about that and much more with Team BKBK. All right, fellas, it's good to have everyone back. It's been a few months, yeah? Everyone's living their life, getting that summertime in. You know, us grown men have all these responsibilities and this and that, but, you know, we can come together and, you know, kind of, you know, get our little Jets thing on. Oh, by the way, we got a game we're going to September 25th. All righty, Jets versus Cincinnati. Team BKBK will be representing. Kyle, we're going to, you know, FaceTime you there live, all right, because you're over there 3,000 miles away, but, you know, the love is there. So we're going to get fired up.
I'll do the same thing on New Year's Day when I'm at Lumen Field watching the Jets play the Seahawks. I'll FaceTime you guys in. Or you could come visit me. You know, that's all right too.
That would be hot.
Why don't you cash in on that T-Mobile stock and pay for the trip, and I'll be out there.
I don't know. I looking at the Seahawks roster, you know, that the secondary market for those tickets might not be that high. So we'll see. Got the Giants coming to town too. I might even go watch the Giants play.
Nah, don't do that.
No.
The Giants are going to be terrible this year. But listen, I mean, you know, speaking about what's going to keep us or give us hope and promise as being Jets fans and everything, are we confident that Robert Saleh is the right choice for this team? You know, it's year 2. There were some struggles last year. And there are people that think that, like, oh, he's not the one. But then there are also people that think, like, all right, it was a rookie season, rookie coordinators all over the place, and just a young team in general. Year 2, does Robert Saleh have what it takes to take us to the next level, or for at least for us to see some growth? Is he the guy?
Well, I think that time will tell, but he's really going to need to step up and show that in year 2, some of those in-game decision-making things are going to be a little bit better. I think that one of the great things about Saleh is that he's so enthusiastic and he gets really into the game. Players buy into that, but sometimes that gets him a little bit caught up in those things, whereas a head coach really needs to be centered and calm when the decision-making stuff happens. So I expect them to be better, but it is going to come down a lot to him. I think his coordinators, especially LaFleur, you know, are trending up as some of the best in the business. I think with Ulbrich, it's going to with all the talent he has on defense. I think the pass rush is going to be so improved that we're going to see some cool things on defense too that maybe other people outside of like the day-to-day Jets stuff aren't expecting. But offensively, we have a great young mind, and if our head coach can put us in good winning positions when it comes to game management, with the talent that JD has put out there, I mean, we were the only team who had like almost every cut signed by another team. So the talent's there. It's going to be like in the way that we use it. So I think that it's a bright future, but it's really going to come down to in-game decisions for Saleh.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say that you have
a couple of things that are layered in here. So talent, obviously, you give the nod to JD for putting this roster together, but I would also say it's the collaboration between him and Salah that and the rest of the coaching staff that kind of led to the talent that we have. If you look at the first draft that JD had, and he had Gase as his coach, where are those folks now? It's a horrible draft, right? You have
Terrible.
yeah, terrible draft. You have Becton, who's out again for the season. You have a lot Mims, right, who wants to be traded, who can't crack the starting lineup. You have a lot of folks, Ashton Davis. I mean, it's Braden Mann, our punter
Zinga.
is probably the, you know, and yeah, you have a lot of folks that were there that really not a lot of talent out of that draft. So now that's what Salah went into with the 2020 draft and the 2021 draft that were just rookies at the time. Now he collaborated with JD on those players, which is great, and you're starting to see that growth, and you're starting to see the depth in the roster be there. Hence, what you're referring to, Kyle, and what we've spoken about, Brandon, as far as the folks getting picked up on the waiver wire after being cut by other teams. But it's just going to take a little bit of time. Think about Zach Wilson as well. I mean, we still need to know what that's going to end up being at the end of the day. If you don't have good quarterback play, we were devoid of talent on defense, and so we really couldn't stop a nosebleed last year as well. So we'll really see now that he does have a roster. Well, we'll still see about the quarterback position, which is still a question mark at this point in time, where he ends up being. But in game doesn't matter if you don't have the talent in order to put out there and roll out there on Sunday. So we'll see what ends up becoming of this roster in Salah this year.
Yeah, I tend to agree with both Coach Kyle and my brother Brian. I mean, I look at it historically, like what kind of coaches have we had prior to, hiring Salah? It was Adam Gase, and prior to that, it was Todd Bowles. Neither of which were, good communicators. Um, you know, the idea of being a head coach as opposed to an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator is that you have to be able to, sort of create an environment where you are the general and you let others manage the other processes. And the other processes again are, the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, special teams, you know, the conditioning, strength and conditioning program. And I believe that initially when Salah came, he was sort of micro focused on the defense and wasn't happy with the personnel that he had to work with. And I think that was part of the issue. I think second a difference in how he manages the entire process. And again, I mentioned communication. I think he in hearing the commentary from all of the free agents that they ended up signing, Uzama, Conklin, Reed, Whitehead, Brown, late, as how they handled the Fant situation, how Salah was involved with that in terms of, well, we're going to convert. Now you're going to be the full-time left tackle. Mm-hmm. Oh, no. Hey, maybe you're not. Now you're going to be the full-time right tackle.
that he left the room for. I remember that too. I'm
Right.
so glad that you brought up the Rex Ryan point, and
Yeah.
I'm really glad, Kerry, too, that you, instead of just talking about Gates, you talked about Bowles too, right? Like, because I think Bowles is a great coach,
So do I.
but he's super dry. He's super dry. So, like that, I don't think that translated well in New York. It might work in Tampa Bay. I hope so for him, because he is talented. Yet it was super dry, and I don't think that the PR aspect of that culture ever caught on with anybody, inside or outside the
The
locker
only
room.
way that the PR, part of that would help, or the PR culture, is that he would just have to win. He would have to do a Belichick, because Belichick is so dry, but he's so dry that now, because he wins so much, it's become like hee ha ha, like, isn't
Right.
he funny?
I'll push back on the Bowles thing though. I mean, think about the roster that he had, right? I mean, he was rocking with McCagnon, right? One of the
He was
worst.
rocking with Idzik. He was rocking
Right.
with Idzik too.
Started with Idzik
Yeah.
and then rocked with McCagnon. So
Can you believe that Idzik was worse than McCagnon? I can't even believe it. It's, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and McCagnon was absolutely terrible. I mean,
Idzik was worse.
I mean, yes. Well, I mean, they could battle it out, battle royal for the bottom. I mean, okay.
Those two guys set back the Jets worse than any coach that we've ever had.
Think about it. We went to two AFC championship games back to back, right? And then they tore it all down by putting these dudes in charge after that. It's just, I mean, it's ridiculous. So that's why I have to give Bowles some grace. Let's see what ends up happening in Tampa Bay, right? He's got a roster that's obviously talented. Obviously coming
But it has some problems right now, though.
I mean, yeah. I mean, at the top with Tom Brady, right? I mean, with everything that's going on with him.
Well, it's the
O-line too.
is in bad shape.
Yeah.
But you started off by saying that you were going to push back, but Kyle and I weren't saying anything against Bowles. I think he and I definitely think that he's a high quality coach. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, I think
it was more of a New York market, personality kind of thing. Todd Bowles, I can see him, being very, very successful, winning a ring too. If the circumstances are right. So I support him 100%.
He wasn't the coach for New York.
For New York culture, he would have to win. He would have to do a Bill Belichick and win. Outside of that, no, not really. No.
So, but going back to what I was saying though about Rex Ryan, last night.
After you're done, Kyle, I see Brian. After you're done, Kyle, I want Brian to hop in because I think he wants to counter the point. But go ahead.
Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I just listen. Who's Van Gundy, right? I mean, he came in. You don't have to be a personality. You just have to win. I mean, and I think Brandon mentioned that as well.
Try and jump on Alonzo Mourning's leg. You win New York, baby.
Van Gundy was a personality. I don't think you compare Todd Bowles and
but
Van
Gundy. He's not like, you don't have to be Rex Ryan, right? I mean, you don't have to be Salah. You just got to win. I mean, it is what it is. This is New York. You just got to win. That's all. And we had no opportunity.
Van Gundy was the weird substitute teacher that drove to the facility every day in a Honda Civic, and but you knew he really cared.
And he was a good coach. And
he was a good coach.
And he jumped on Alonzo Mourning's leg during a fight. That's hot.
All right.
He's immortalized in New York sporting history.
All right. Joe Torre. I mean, but he wasn't Mr. Personality. He gave what he was supposed to give during the conference.
Joe Torre would cry. He would show his vulnerability. Yeah, like
Joe Torre is like a fun-loving Italian guy, hairy forearm that will drop a tear on you in a minute.
Drinking green tea.
How do you know about his forearm?
Coming back from prostate cancer. I mean, Joe Torre. Yeah, I disagree wholeheartedly.
So do I.
I can't believe we're talking about Joe Torre and Todd Bowles in
the same breath.
Maybe Willie Randolph and Todd Bowles.
Right. I think what it is it's the clashing personality of being in a high leverage market, and all you get from him is, what happened was we did this and we did that. Again, who does that? Who does that the best? In New England. right?
Belichick
That's
and
the best. But
Saban.
again, what he wins.
Right.
So when you're attracting um coaching, and when you're attracting free agents, one is I don't have to talk to you about anything. Look at my rings. And the other is I got to get you to come to a losing organization. How am I going to do that? By using the tools that I have in front of me, which are me, which is in front of you, right? My personality. I have to sell you something that is a bag of rocks when all I got is rocks, right? So, you have to have somebody in that role that can sort of sell themselves and sell the organization. I don't think Bowles was that personality.
And
I don't think Adam
I
Gase
just
was
think
that personality.
I just think TBD. Right? You don't know what's going on
No.
in the conversation.
I don't disagree.
Bowles is
with
TBD.
TBD.
Gase, I'm with you 200%, 2,000. Everybody's here. Bowles, I just think he didn't get a fair shot at it with folks that weren't able to put folks on the roster. That's all. That's my only disagreement here. I just don't think that Bowles had the opportunity at all, right, in order to be able to put together a team because he had no roster. When he had Fitzpatrick out there slinging the rock around, and he had Revis, we had an opportunity. We were one game away from making the playoffs, right? I mean, he was the coach, and we just we stuck it up on the last game of the season. It is what it is. That's all my disagreement is about. Not to say that he's
an excellent coordinator. I think he's an
Right.
excellent defensive coordinator. I don't think he's a head coach.
I guess we'll see.
He's a consistent head coach in this league. Now,
Rex-
again, that might change with Tampa Bay, and we'll see. He'll get a second chance
shot
at
at it,
the Apple.
Yeah.
You don't get a third chance.
No.
You don't get a third chance.
No.
This is his last, pretty much his last go round. He'll go back to being a defensive coordinator, and I think he's plus as a defense coordinator. I would absolutely give him that. Now, again, the book is still open on Saleh. He's only had 1 year.
Yeah.
But what I've seen so far as being an excellent communicator, right? As far as making adjustments from, just looking at the defense, and then during the year saying, look, you're going to have to go, our offensive coordinator is going to have to go upstairs. This isn't working down here.
He is going upstairs, right? He is upstairs now.
He is now. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But they made that adjustment during the year.
Right.
But again, I want to see what kind of adjustments he makes this year. When I say he, I'm talking about Saleh.
Okay.
And but
Fair.
I think I am optimistic that he is what New York needs right now.
All right.
So
I mean,
Saleh is definitely more Rex Ryan than he is Todd Bowles. And I sat my son down last night and I said, we are going to watch the 2010 Jets highlight film. And I'm going to show you what it felt like when optimism actually existed in this dojo.
Kyle, I just absolutely love it, right? You're making your son watch film of old Jets seasons of yesteryear when we were good. I mean, I just love it. I'm all in.
He just didn't, he doesn't know a time in which the Jets were relevant.
Sure.
And the to watch that, and I guess it was as much for me as it was for him.
Sure.
But that's the year the Jets were on Hard Knocks. My wife, who, despite being married to me with me for nearly 20 years as a football coach, still doesn't like football. She said that
it's all good.
when Rex Ryan says, he does the whole yelling in training camp, and then he says, and now let's go eat a freaking snack. She's like, that is a classic line, and everyone knows that. That's like, but when you look at like that year or those 2 years, 09 and 10 together, it's 2 trips to the AFC Championship behind a good run game and a good defense with Mark Sanchez at quarterback.
Yep. And Mark Sanchez, he wasn't even stinking up the place either. He's
a game manager.
Efficient.
Well,
I'd say he was a C+ to a B- quarterback. Good, solid game manager.
He was the same way Trent Dilfer was when he played for the Ravens and he went to the Super Bowl.
But listen, let's not lose track. I'm just going to get us back on course here. I just want to know. So basically, are we headed in the right direction?
Yes.
With Robert Saleh?
Yes.
We better be.
I think we are. I'm the only one that really didn't get to expand my thoughts on it yet. I think we are. I think he's a player's coach, and I know sometimes people don't like that term, but in all the good aspects of that term, I think he is. He's a great motivator. He used to run a great defense over there in San Francisco that he got the X's and O's of that from the Legion of Boom when he was coaching the linebackers out there. And then he hired, a rookie defensive coordinator who I actually think, just from watching the preseason, is going to be a pretty good defensive coordinator. And now we have the players to execute the plan. I was looking at in the offseason at our linebackers. I didn't really like it. I'm looking at our linebackers now. I'm like, ooh, they look good. Mosley looks good. I love Quincy. He just has to smarten up a little bit and stop trying to make every hit like, a death blow. And then Quan Alexander flies around the field. And Sherwood out of Auburn, second-year player who tore his Achilles last year and is fully recovered. This guy's making tackles left and right with the first team and with the second team. And we just picked up off of waivers Surratt. I forget his first name.
Chaz Surratt.
He's got a brother named Sage Surratt, who was a wide receiver at Wake Forest. And his brother, Chaz Surratt, former quarterback at UNC, and then switched over to linebacker, played 2 years of linebacker, 6'2", 225, flies all over the place, and pops. So I like our linebacker room. Plus, we're going to be playing a lot of nickel as well. So we don't need as many linebackers. So we're going to have probably like 5, and I'm happy with that. And every linebacker that I just named outside of Surratt is going to be good. So, I think, and it's just a question mark for Surratt. You just have to keep growing and developing. I like what we have there. And if you guys remember that last preseason game, I even texted. I was like, woo, they're hitting out there.
They are.
They're out there popping everybody. So now if we go into game 1, how we left off this final preseason game, we got something to show. So I do think Robert Saleh, people like playing for him, and I think he's a good choice, which will carry me over into the next topic. Go ahead,
Brandon, before we segue into the next topic, I got a kind of a sidebar question off the outline.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel Saleh has been dealing with the Mims situation? Because I think that's a big piece of this too. Like when you have a roster bubble guy there who is also a vested draft product, like a second round draft pick. So to cut is a failure. To trade is a semi-failure, and to keep is kind of a failure if he's not playing. So I kind of put that back on you guys. How do you think he's dealt with that?
I think he's done a great job with that, because now you have to look at the player. Where is the player's head? Okay? He feels that he's not really giving or being given a fair chance at it, but he hasn't been on the field to be given a fair chance. But he also said, I don't hate the Jets. I just want to play. Okay? Now he knows that he was on the trade bubble, right? But the Jets were like, no, we're not going to trade him. Now, behind the scenes, they probably wanted to get something real high for him, but they weren't just going to give him away. So that's one thing. They do have some value for him, okay? 2, he made, because I was watching some mock or some predictions for the 53-man roster, and there were predictions where we'd only keep 5 wide receivers. No, the Jets, they kept 6. He was the 6th one. So they do believe in him. And also, Mims also said that he doesn't hate the Jets. He's not mad at them. He just wants to play. So imagine you being, the 56th pick, second round pick, and you're not getting any burn. Wouldn't you start hating the organization? Plus, you stunk the year before. meaning the organization, and the year before that, and you can't get any burn, you can't get any play. All he is right now is disappointed. He's a little frustrated, but he does not hate the Jets, and the Jets are still paying him. They haven't cut him. They haven't disrespected him, and he's on the squad where they could have reorganized their squad, maybe kept their fullback, and then let Mims go and just kept 5 wide receivers, because the 5 wide receivers we have are quality, So I think that JD and Salah have handled it perfectly. How about that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it makes no sense to decrease the value of your asset. So,
absolutely,
you talking down about your asset does not help you in the long run. Try to get the deal that you're looking for and the deal that the player's looking for, evidently, to get out of here, to get more playing time. I mean, I think he's in a good position. Corey Davis is what I'd be eyeing right now. You're not going to put Mims in the slot, right? You're just not going to put him there. And he's locked behind Moore on the outside, who looks like a superstar potentially. But injuries happen. They always happen to Corey Davis. So, at that point in time, you put him out there and you see what you have. And I think the organization, since you have him on the 53, kind of owes it to him too. Not to give him something he doesn't deserve, but the last game he was out there, he looked pretty good, right? And Corey Davis is going to be going into his 3rd year next year. If you cut him, you're not going to have a lot of leftover money or dead money there at that point in time. So what are you going to draft another wide receiver high? Nope. Probably not. You're going to have to move forward with what you have on the roster. So it would behoove the Jets to give him some time, rotate him in here and there at that position, and see what you have.
Yeah, and like I said, he says he doesn't hate the Jets at all. He just wants to play.
Sure.
That's any football player. So I started off my little dialogue by saying his mind. And I think as far as him being disappointed, I understand it and I respect it. But if you don't hate the organization and you just want to play, as far as how disappointed you are, that's as good as your mind can get. At least it's not in the tank. It's not in the gutter. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good thing. And we can build from that. All righty? So, hey, listen. Let's move on to our next bit because, we got to talk about this. We have our quarterback drafted number 2 last year in the 2021 draft. Someone you guys know that I'm high on. I still am high on him, I just hope he's not like a little piece of like peanut brittle, got to, stay strong, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Peanut brittle.
My dad loves peanut brittle, he loves peanut brittle. But anyway, yeah.
Bad on the dentures.
What'd you say? Hey, Star, you have peanut brittle? You have peanut brittle, Star? I was like, no, Dad. No.
I want to know who invented that. That was just, wow.
Genius.
What was that, Kerry?
Wasn't a dentist. I want to know who invented that.
It definitely
wasn't a dentist.
It was some dude at a carnival spoiling kids, trying to get parents to spend money.
For the younger viewers, there is the scene in Wildcats where Nipsey Russell opens up the thing. He goes, "You got some peanut brittle left over from the last year's fundraiser," and he opens the thing, and it's just like a whole thing of peanut brittle.
Oh,
and he goes, "Right."
So listen, that's funny. So let's talk about Zach.
Sure.
How do we feel about Zach right now?
Is how confident I am in Joe Flacco a reflection on Zach Wilson?
Sure.
Well, it's not even, I'm going to give you a more succinct question. It's not how you feel about Zach. How about this? Was Zach the right choice? Should the Jets have picked a different quarterback in the 2021
I don't know.
draft?
They should have picked Pat Mahomes the year before.
Are we going to do that?
Or 2 years before.
He said,
do that.
Listen to the full question. This is the SATs. Listen to the full question. He said in 2021.
Yes,
I know.
Don't be Brandon, coach.
Funny.
Yeah,
So my answer is, I don't know. I mean, how am I supposed to know? I mean, I haven't seen enough of him. He got injured last year, right? Came on towards the end of the year. This feels like a Sam Darnold. And this,
No way.
and listen,
Oh.
watch. No, I'm not saying that he's the same player. I'm not saying that he is the same talent level. All I'm saying is I need to see him. And every year we came. Remember, it was mono, right? So year 2 of Darnold was mono, and this is what it started out with. And so you never get a full season of the guy in order to just understand who he is, his talent level, and what he can do. And so it's starting to go down that path again. He came out because of his stature and what have you. Part of the knock on him was durability. And this is what's playing out so far. Here's what I didn't like. He threw the interception. It seemed rookie-ish, but I'll let that go. But you compounded the problem by making a poor decision on the run. It's out of bounds, dude. I felt like he was frustrated and wanted to make up for the play. Yeah. And then so now I'm going to cut inside. I'm going to get the first down, and everything's going to change the momentum. Forget the play. Move on and play smartly. And that's where I was disappointed in that particular play. And now he's out the entire preseason. He doesn't have those reps, and he's going to be thrown into the Lions' den coming off an injury. I mean, that's where I'm like, I don't know what we have in that guy. And hopefully we have the player that we think we drafted.
I think it all comes, it's what's going to help him out is going to be coaching. I feel like he's talented. I feel like he throws a great ball. He can hit every throw that the league is going to, or that the team's going to ask him to throw. I just think that what he does, and it's going to need to be coached out of him, he likes to make the wow play. He likes to try to make the wow play. This isn't college anymore. This isn't Pop Warner. This isn't Sandlot football. Run out of bounds. Okay, you're a few yards short. Let it be third down. And then, get the first downs. Every throw doesn't have to be a touchdown. Every running play doesn't have to be a touchdown. He's like the quarterback that will, get past, the linemen, get past the linebackers, and he's like, running up, and it's like 11 yards, and then the safety will come up, and he'll try to lower his head, and then next thing you know, he's got a torn labrum or like a dislocated AC joint or something, and he's out like 7 weeks. So he needs to stop trying to make the wow plays. Don't try to run someone over. Don't try to make the beautiful throw and beat somebody that's double covered because you tell him to go like this, and then he's going to run past 2 guys that are running like 4.4s themselves and then make the beautiful catch in the end zone. Like, smarten up. You could have caught the guy doing a post in or something like that, or like an in route. Instead of throwing it 30 yards, you could have caught this guy, coming on the in route for 12 yards and get you the first down. So I think he needs to be coached up in that regard. Every play doesn't have to be a wild play, but every play needs to be an efficient play. And not every efficient play will result in a first down or even a touchdown. Sometimes, all right, fine. You only got 9 yards on that. It's third down. Now it's fourth. You got a punt. The defense, they're going to get you back the ball, in good field position. All right. Then now we'll start from there. This is the NFL. This isn't, Pop Warner football. This isn't, Baldwin beating up on Syosset. He just has to be able to accept that, get coached up in that way and accept it, and then play accordingly with that mindset.
So these are my thoughts. I think this is a two-pronged question. Was it JD's best choice at quarterback at the time, or was there a better choice to be made at that position at 2 to draft Zach Wilson? Right?
I'm going to answer your first prong by saying yes. Your second prong, no.
So here's how I look at it. Was there somebody else that we felt was a better choice at the time?
Me, no.
At the time.
Was Justin Herbert in the same draft?
No.
That was the year before.
Who was the next quarterback taken?
My point is, after the first pick which went to Jacksonville, the next 3 quarterbacks were Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Trey Lance. Right? Would we have?
No, I think we picked the best one out of those.
Right, and
4.
so did JD. Right, so did JD.
Yeah.
You know, in Jehovah, we trust. Right?
You
Now, wait.
Is that where? Are we saying that? Are we saying that?
What I'm saying is that at the time, again, I'm about this revisionist history thing, right? So is Brandon, and so is Kyle, and both of them have sat on the pedestal of he should have done this, right? Or they should have done this. The organization should have done this, and if they would have done it, this is where we would have been, right? Am I right or wrong in saying that?
I've been known to do that from time.
We all have an element of that. We all had
37 seconds ago. You just did
I
it.
I like to point out when Kyle is right.
Right. But my point is that look, I didn't have a better choice for him to make. I don't have this. I'm not looking at Justin Fields and saying he should have drafted Justin Fields at the time.
Not at all.
Maybe we can look at it now and say, well, maybe it would have been a better choice to draft.
Harry, why did you say I do the same thing Kyle does when I didn't even do it? It was just Kyle.
You do it right now. You do it right now. But every other opportunity to bring up somebody who we are not going to name. We're not going to name this individual, right? Because I don't want to start another conversation about this individual.
I don't even know who he's talking about.
Worse.
Listen.
We'll talk about it later. But my point,
I think what we're saying here is that we don't really second guess the choice made at the time.
right?
I mean, if there's other people that I'd rather have at quarterback right now that we may have been able to acquire, through our draft capital, maybe Justin Herbert. Like I didn't know that Justin Herbert was
prior. Justin Herbert was prior to.
Justin Herbert came out with Tua Tagovailoa same draft.
Right. And so that was the year before.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The year before.
Yeah.
So
and my other point is, the jury is still out on these other quarterbacks. The jury is still out on Trey Lance, who only had 14 games under his belt as a quarterback. Right. You're talking about Justin Fields, who looks like he's playing better, right, in the preseason, right? But he had his lumps that he was taking during the year last year. And Mac Jones, everybody in New England is having buyer's remorse, right?
I'll tell you right now that Mac Jones and Justin Fields don't have their 5th-year option picked up.
Absolutely. So my point is this: the jury is still out on Zach Wilson. Are there things that I'm not happy with in terms of his development that I think are significantly caused by his first year and not having that quarterback's coach who actually passed away? I think it stunted his development, sure.
Yeah.
But I see signs that in the offseason that he was making the effort to be more of a leader, to get in the weight room, to communicate with all of his receivers, to bring all of his receivers out to
Idaho.
To Idaho to do a camp, right? But again, he's a young dude, right? It is Salah's responsibility and his offensive coordinator's responsibility to get him out of the habits that have caused him to get injured the last 2 seasons, right? And that's, again, specifically not running out of bounds, not throwing away the ball when you needed to, right?
You and I are saying the same thing, Kerry. I 100% agree with you, bro.
Right.
So I don't agree with any of you on the like lambasting him for running with the ball in a preseason game. But the guy didn't know that he was going to tear his meniscus when he cut. I don't hold that against him at all.
Again, so what I hold against him is look, this is a preseason game. If you're going to do anything in terms of what he was trying to do is get the first down. That's what he was trying to do, right? He made a cut, similar cut that I made when I was trying to get out of bounds. When I tore my ACL, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that hard plant, not really knowing where you're going to go, and in the middle of the plant, you can't decide which way to go, right or left, and that's really what ended up happening. He's not a natural, one cut runner. He's not that dude. He's not a running back, but he can fly. He can fly. But I think what I think was he overestimated his ability at that particular time. And my point would have been just go out of bounds. Just run out of bounds. Who cares if you get the first down or not? You're here to have 2 or 3 series and get out. That's it. And I think he was trying a bit, trying too hard to do too much at a time when it wasn't necessary.
Right.
That's my overall point. I feel like he's always trying to make the splash play, and you're in the NFL. I don't care even if you're Mahomes. Not every play is going to be a splash play, even if you're Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes makes more splash plays on the average than any other quarterback in the league for the most part. But, he's great. But, hey, listen, you got to work yourself up to that greatness by being efficient. You know what I'm saying? You're not just going to start off like that most of the time. Like, you're not a prodigy. Why don't you allow yourself to develop into one? And I think he's just trying to do a little bit too much without formulating his foundational base. And I think he needs to do that by being more efficient and being satisfied with that efficiency. Go ahead, Kerry.
And I think it's also a second opportunity to sit back and watch how the offense operates, right? During this time where you're going to be out, whether it's 1 game or 3 games, you're going to be able to see how a professional quarterback runs an offense who may be limited in terms of his mobility, right? You don't have to make all of the big plays. All you got to do is make the routine plays routinely, and on occasion, 1 or 2 plays a game, make the bigger play.
Take what the defense is giving you.
Take what the defense is giving you, especially with this, with the personnel that has been brought in at both the offensive line position, at the receiver positions, and at the running back positions. This offense is no reason this offense shouldn't be top 3rd in the league in terms of offensive efficiency and yards per play.
Yeah. I think when you look at the roster, as far as the offensive roster, Kerry, I mean, I'm not on paper, yeah?
Yeah.
On paper?
Yeah.
Where are the holes? We really don't have any huge holes. Our tight ends, anybody in the league will take our tight end room. Our wide receiver room, anybody in the league is going to take our wide receiver room, except for maybe like, the Vikings or the Rams or something like that. Like we're up there, on paper,
sure.
The offensive line
and healthy, 100% healthy.
Yeah, the offensive line on paper, which is going to lead me into my next bit here, looks really good. The one question mark is the health of our quarterback, and also after that, the decision making. And hopefully he gets coached up into making much, much better decisions as to what we were just talking about. So since we're talking about concern, fellas, I have a question. What position group, the grouping, most concerns you? You know what I'm saying? Is it the quarterback room? I'm sorry, outside of the quarterback room, because we already spoke about the quarterback.
Yeah.
Outside of the quarterback room, it could be offense, it could be defense. Is it the tight end room? Is it the D-line room? Linebacker? Cornerbacks, safeties, receivers, O-line. Let me just start this one off by saying, and I'm going to let Brian jump in real quick, but I just wanted to say this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
My biggest concern right now, outside of the quarterback position, is the offensive line. The offensive line. And I have a feeling Brian's going to say the same thing. So, Brian, go ahead, jump in, say that, and then I'll just follow up with what you just said.
Yeah, you must be Miss Cleo. Cause,
you know that.
Call me now.
Because that's exactly what I was going to say. Listen, it's not because it's devoid of talent, right? That's really not it. It's just the starting 5. That's not the starting 5 that you were going to go into the season with. Becton was going to be on the right, Fant was going to be on the left. So now you've been juggling tackles, and that position group, more than any other, needs to gel, needs to come together. And the more reps they have as a unit, the better off they are and more effective they are. and we just haven't had the time. Dwayne Brown, I think, is going to be a great signing. I think individually, they're great players, the five of them. But Dwayne Brown has probably played with that, that starting five, probably, I don't know, a couple of snaps, a couple of series overall during training camp, preseason, and the like. So that's really what I'm most concerned about, especially because we are starting off the season in the NFC North, AFC North, right? So you have some decent pass rushers there. You have some decent teams in there. We're starting against the Ravens, who play a lot of games up front, right? It's not going to be a vanilla defense that they're going to go against on Sunday. So that being the case, that's really what I'm concerned about, because if you stop the run early against us, then and forcing us to throw the ball and air it out the whole game against the Ravens, against the Steelers, against the Bengals. I mean, yes, and it's going to look bad. And so we can't really establish the run, and we haven't been able to establish the run so far in the preseason, then we're going to struggle. And so that's really where my concern lies.
I'll jump in and say it's also offensive line for the same reasons. Um, Continuity, not the group we thought we'd have, um, and I think that protecting whoever is playing quarterback is going to be it's going to be paramount in all of this. Like you protect the quarterback with play action and good run game, and you protect the quarterback on straight dropbacks. So I think that there's going to be need to be some creativity early on where every team in the AFC North has a stellar pass rush. Um, I don't know if we'll see TJ Watt with the injury that he has, but we are going to see Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
And we're going to see that front from the Ravens. So it's going to be dicey. So that's the group I have a bit of concern about. I do like our backups though, for the most part, up to the untested Max Mitchell. But I do always remember that Max Mitchell was a Senior Bowl participant. He was coached by our coaching staff, and the reason why he's on this team is because of the experience they had with him down there. I truly believe that that they circled his name and they said Max Mitchell is going to be on our team. I love the pickup of Chaz Surratt. I think that we did that with Quincy Williams last year, and Quincy Williams is trending up. So we're a linebacker developmental team. So that's good. Whereas I think maybe all of us would have said linebacker a few months ago. The Quan Alexander addition is super huge for our defense. Love it. And Chaz Surratt would help that depth if he can work out. And there's a little time on that. I am concerned about the safety position. If we are going to keep Ashton Davis as a 53, when he showed basically nothing in the preseason, in any of the games that we played, the joint practices. I mean, we're all people that are soaking up every bit of film that we can find on this training camp, and I didn't see much from Ashton Davis. I think that a guy like Will Parks may have been a better choice to stay, because I did see stuff from Will Parks. But I'm a little nervous about depth at safety and safety play overall. Maybe Joyner, healthy, is a guy that they circled last year to bring in with Whitehead. That starting group may make me feel better come next week. But Ashton Davis as a backup right now, I think Ashton Davis is a bust draft pick at this point in time. And I don't really know why we kept him on the 53. So safety is a concern for me.
That's a great point. I mean, I feel the same. But most of my concern, or more of my concern, is on the offensive line. Brian just made the great points of saying that they haven't been able to gel well. I don't think outside of the few snaps that Dwayne Brown had in the preseason game. That's all that he's had in a live situation that wasn't internal. I don't even think he got any playing time or full contact in the scrimmages when he was playing, when the Jets were playing against like the Falcons or the Giants or anything like that in the joint practices. So I don't think he got any live contact. So everything has been in-house live contact with the same guys that you go up against every day. And he only had a few snaps. So, and then you have Fant going to the other side. I still have confidence that, flip him on either side, he'll be fine. Basically, individually, you never want to talk about offensive linemen as individuals, ever, as far as things being positive. You usually talk about them individually when there's a holding penalty, an offsides, an illegal chop block, Anytime you talk about the O-line as individuals, it's just not good. When you don't talk about them, but you see your running back squeezing through a hole and taking 50 yards real quick, or your quarterback having that time in the pocket, and, everyone's talking about how great the quarterback is, but no one's mentioning the O-line, that is a good thing. So we love the no mention of the O-line. Let's vote them to the Pro Bowl and all that stuff when it's time to mention them. But if we don't have to mention them, that's a good thing. So I just hope that we don't have to hear much about the O-line because they're doing their jobs well. And they just need to coalesce a little bit. And that's my main concern. Because on paper, they look really good. But functionally, I hope they're able to push that out there, And then Kyle, great point about the safety. Ashton Davis, to me,
yeah,
I think he should have been let go. He should have been let go. I don't know how much they're using him on special teams, but I'm just not into him anymore.
Yeah, we gave up too many big plays last year, and that's my concern too. If I was going to name two groups, then definitely it wouldn't even be both safeties. It would really just be that free safety position at the end of the day. But yeah, I'm with you. Still tilted towards the offensive line because that's so much into the wins and losses at the end of the day. Can't move the ball. I mean, it is what it is.
I think we're all on the same page as far as our greatest concern, and like we all said, it's offensive line. I mean, and for me, it's more about the depth. If you recall last year, it took the Jets some time to gel. But when they started to gel, they improved significantly from game 1 to game 17. So I think this is what is going to happen during the year for this offensive line. What concerns me is the depth, and having Max Mitchell as our swing tackle, and with McDermott, I think is still on the IR. That's a concern of mine.
McDermott was cut.
I thought they cut him in and brought him back as on the IL.
Oh, okay, that's possible.
That's what I thought. I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's possible.
If that's the case, and that's all you have, I mean, I think we scratched our head a little bit when we saw Edoga was let go. Who ultimately got picked up by another team. So, but I mean, the silver lining is, I know Dwayne Brown didn't play much, but in the snaps that he got in, I think it was 21 total snaps. He had like a 90 rating on the left side. So you expect that to continue. And aside from that, Will Parks, I get it. I totally get it. I mean, what has Ashton Davis showed you? Not enough. The gamble that they made was to release Will Parks, but they were able to sign him back to the practice squad. So if Ashton Davis doesn't work out within the first 2 games or what have you, it's like, look, hey, Will Parks, let's bring you back on, and we'll release. You can release Ashton Davis outright if it comes to that. I think they feel like he shows some promise, and that's the only reason that you're going to let go a veteran safety like Will Parks, and with the risk of not being able to sign him to your practice squad. So I'm not as concerned about that safety position as I am concerned about the linebacker position. And Quincy Williams, did a very good and admirable job for us, but he still, to me, at times makes poor choices in taking routes to the ball, and also You know,
Coverage.
hits after the
Whistle.
after they're advised to be hit, right? You know, you don't hit somebody out of bounds who's the quarterback, you know, in a preseason game. Like, come on. You know, you're not fighting for a position here, pretty much. You know, you're going to make the team, so it's not like you need to, you know, go overboard. But he's got to make better mental decisions, right? So that's really, you know, the only concerns that I have.
Yeah, I mean, is this the best roster the Jets have had in 10 years?
Yes.
Oh well, yes, without a doubt. Not even close.
Yeah.
I think you look around the league and you see, you know, good teams like the Dallas Cowboys that have serious problems with depth, to the point where the rumors before the cuts were that Agoda was going to get traded to Dallas,
Right.
As an asset that we had. Now, I think you saw a lot of chicken being played when it came to front offices and like, do I trade this guy? Do I wait for him to be released? There were some decisions that people had to make, but I think you look at the Jets' overall depth. You know, the depth chart that we have on the thread. You know, even with our IR stuff, you know, like, talk about taking a weakness and turning it into a strength with our defensive backfield and our front four.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel! You know, I can't wait to talk about. I want to go first on the on the radar.
I know exactly where you're going. Right.
Because I'm a member of some fan clubs, and it's not the Chris Strebler fan club.
No, it ain't.
Because
it ain't.
I love the Grey Cup MVP, but I think that I love Brooks Bollinger and Kyle Mackey, if you remember that name, number 15, look like Rich Simonetti out there. I think Strebler kind of runs like Rich Simonetti too.
No, he runs like
gotta go to the videotape.
No, he runs like your boy. Remember you showed me the way that he would drop back, the Oceanside quarterback,
Jay Fiedler. Yeah. I had a good Jay Fiedler invitation back in the day.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, be cracking up. But listen, before we move on to that next thing, let's not forget about our safety that I happen to like a lot, Pinnock. And the Giants thought of him and picked him up. Smart, right? Smart to do that. But I wish he was still here with the Jets and maybe Ashton elsewhere, because I like Pinnock as well. Cornerback converted to safety, a position change, and still is just a thorough football player. I like the kid a lot.
We should have kept him over Ashton Davis.
We should have. We should have.
That I think is the only critique I really have of the 53.
Yeah. So all right. So Kyle, let's come back to you. You sound like you really want to talk about something. So who's the key player to watch from your perspective, and who is under the radar that will shine this season? So it's a two-part question. Give me somebody that's the key player to watch, and give me someone under the radar that is like, oh, snap. We got to keep our eye on this guy. He could do something.
So my answer is kind of both at the same time, because I was a member of the Michael Clemens Appreciation Fan Club in April or immediately following the draft. The first press conference I watched from him, when he stared, laser beams through Rich Cimini and put the whole press corps on notice that he would beat them down thoroughly just with his eyes if they asked him the wrong question. But Michael Clemens, the dude is relentless.
Yeah.
He is absolutely relentless. And it's crazy to see that we got somebody in the fourth round that runs and pursues like he does at 270 pounds. Yeah. He's a classic body type for a 3-4 end, like a 5 technique.
Yeah.
Yet he can play inside and outside like Franklin Myers on a 4-man front that we run. So I don't think Clemens is under the radar though anymore, because he has fans from coast to coast at this point. And I think that one person who knows his name is Lamar Jackson, and he's been watching that film. I'm also a member of the Jeff Smith fan club. With all this talk about Mims, I've been talking to you guys on the thread about how I think that Jeff Smith is an under the radar guy that, with all the great people we have in the room and the Mims controversy, the reason why there's that Mims is the sixth receiver is because Jeff Smith is the fifth. And the former quarterback out of Boston College went and looked back at some of his film from college, and he has Deebo Samuel gadget potential. And he can throw the ball too. So I think that.
How about the former Jet Brad Smith? That could be his cousin. Who knows?
Yeah, you know what? That the brothers from another mother. But I think that that's a good comparison, because whereas we like to do a little trickeration with Berrios, and Berrios fits that build well, I think that Jeff Smith is more in that Deebo Samuel body type and thing. So I would say that be on the lookout for Jeff Smith. As I'm not saying go out and get him in fantasy, but
no,
he is, like, you talk about a lot of what is going to happen with the Jets receivers. Talking from a fantasy perspective now, I have a draft later on today, but none of those guys seem like a clear cut wide receiver one, because certain people are going to get certain attention, and because those people get that attention, it's going to allow other people to shine. So if Corey Davis is getting all the attention, Elijah Moore is going to go off. Garrett Wilson's going to go off. If Garrett Wilson's getting all the attention, the others are going to go off. And then you got to worry about Conklin. Like, I'm looking at these fantasy rankings, and I know, like, the magazines.
Al, you're stealing all my stuff here. You're stealing my stuff.
You're stealing everybody's stuff.
He's like 20 players.
I stopped. I digress.
You know what? He was fired up to do it, and I respect it. I had to stop you because I didn't want you to take my one guy, not my one guy, but the guy that's really standing out to me, who you got to keep your eye on. Then right after that, I'm going to get to my under the radar.
All right, I'm segging it to you then.
Right. Yes. So the guy that we all have to keep our eye on, that we have not been talking a lot about, he's had a great camp and everything, and he's fully recovered from that.
I know where you're going.
Achilles, from that Achilles. Carl Lawson, baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Number 58.
Yeah.
Number 58. Look at Kerry.
Yeah. I mean, we all have the same player.
Gone.
We all have the same player. I mean,
yeah.
And so we're gonna, step on each other because it is what it is, because we're talking about the same guy.
Yeah.
But
you think?
But listen, Carl Lawson. What does the defense look like if that guy can consistently get to the quarterback on third downs? Right?
His bull rush is sick.
I mean, it's ridiculous, right? I mean, so if he can consistently get at the quarterback, and again, he was out all of last year because he got injured in training camp. When you think about what that does to our defense, I mean, it just changes everything around, right? We were watching the game, and Kyle was there in the text too, and he's like, your pass rush makes your defense look totally different, right? If you're able to get at the quarterback. Makes every defense look good if you're able to do that. And Carl Lawson can keep my fingers crossed. We haven't seen the guy, right? We signed him, and we haven't seen him play in NFL down yet, like in the regular season. Think about that, right? Mm-hmm. So looking forward to seeing him play and be effective this year. Kerry, I'm sure you were shaking your head because you were going to mention him as well. So I'll kick it over to you.
Check out Kerry. He can't even talk. Look at Kerry.
You want me to go next?
Please. Yes.
All right. So here's the thing. Since you guys took all of my players anyway, I'll go with the under the radar, but very significantly important. One of the biggest problems in our defense, aside from the pass rush, aside from cornerback play, because we got good cornerback play from Bryce Hall, right? Who is now the third string cornerback.
Good to average, but go ahead.
Right?
Second.
Look,
he's the third PFF, corner.
Mr. PFF, go check out his I
will. I'll give it to you in a second.
For last year. It was plus. What I would say is it was plus. He had a plus rating. And my thing has always been, if 1/3 of your team is ranked 1/3 in the league at their position, you're going to have a winning season, right?
And Bryce Hall
that's always been my philosophy.
Bryce Hall 63.2 PFF.
All last year.
63.2. So
well, then maybe
that's a yellow.
Maybe that's why he's the third string.
Yeah, exactly.
Cornerback, right?
There you go. Okay.
Second string on the side, on the right side, I think.
Third corner, not the third string. Third corner.
Right, sorry, third corner. Yeah. So my guy that I'm looking at is Whitehead at the safety position, which, if you remember, our safety position was the worst. Everybody went long, and everybody caught the ball, right?
The seams.
But it was the seams. Now he's going to play strong safety, I believe, in this scheme. But what we also didn't have at our disposal was Joyner. I think he was hurt last year.
Yeah, he was.
And they were high on him when they brought him in, right? So again, Whitehead comes from a winning team. He comes from a Super Bowl team at Tampa Bay, right? And I think that he improves a position of significant need at a high level, right? Which I don't know if there's another position that we brought in this year that is going to have as much significant improvement that wasn't already in the building.
I think DJ Reed would be that other significant position that we didn't have in the building that would equate to Whitehead.
Well, again, we'll see. We can debate that. But my other under the radar position or player is Lawrence Cager. I think we were all rooting for this guy. We were all
that was great, Kerry. I love it. That was great.
He put down 30. He put on 35 pounds of muscle. Right. The Jets asked him to move from wideout to tight end. He said, "No problem. I'm going to get it done." He's a mismatch waiting to happen. I see him, I hope to see him as Juszczyk, how he was used in San Francisco as sort of, coming out of the backfield, blocking at times. Whatever needs to get done, he's going to do it for you. Dump down, what have you. Now, again, I don't think he's going to take minutes from Uzama or
Conklin.
Or Conklin or Ruckett for that matter. I think he's going to be the third tight end. But again, it's going to be a situation where you're going to put him in places that he's going to have the ability to win one-on-one.
You know what?
I think Cager compares favorably to Gilsecki on Miami.
Right. Yes.
And Waller. I think that those are good comps for him because he's not quite a tight end yet.
Yeah. I mean, my concern is that he's way, way under the radar. We love him, but because of the tight end room and how deep it is at this point in time, I don't see how he gets on the field. That's my only.
We said under the radar, so I chose to be as below the radar as possible.
Okay, all right. So
the Jets can legit run 4 tight end sets.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yes. If that's what you want to do, right?
Right.
What's the personnel number on that, Kyle? Because
that would be a 14 personnel.
Never heard of it in my life, but I like it.
Yeah, you don't. 12 personnel is big.
So
package.
My thing is a guy who's under the radar. Nobody's mentioned him, and we've been on this call for 70 minutes.
That's because
all right, nobody's mentioned him yet, but he's somebody that I think is key. For me, it's the third down guys, right? So I picked Carl Lawson on defense. I'm going to pick Garrett Wilson on offense. Our second first-round pick in the slot is probably where he's going to live and spend the majority of his time, especially on third down, and his ability to get open in conjunction with Berrios, right, in that slot, I think is going to be key to keeping the chains moving. Conklin's going to be in there too. He's already been mentioned. But to me, Garrett Wilson, if he's able to beat the slot corner consistently, I mean, that offense totally changes around. And so I think he has the skills to be able to do it. He has the speed to be able to do it. He has the pedigree to be able to do it. So, again, if he's able to really take hold of that position in the slot, beat out Berrios with skill, with finesse, and be able to score some touchdowns there, I think in the red zone, we're going to be dangerous, man. We're going to be dangerous in third downs.
Berrios and Bryce Hall are in similar positions where they were starters last year, and now they're providing huge depth to the positions that they play.
Yeah.
And I agree with you that they're really going to push the Elijah Moore outside rather than inside
Yep.
narrative, which is going to get Garrett Wilson on those smash routes to the back of the end zone.
Yep.
He's going to make a living off of the deep outs and back shoulder throws and things like that. But he could also live in Michael Thomas land and just take slants to the house.
Right.
So I think that's a great point, especially what do they say? It's a third down league and it's a 2-minute league, right? And a red zone league. So, those are the things that you got to do. You got to convert your third downs and you got to be able to play with tempo and score when it's needed.
Think Santonio Holmes.
And I think, yes. And I think he has the best ball skills on that team as currently constituted right now. And I don't even think it's close. I don't even think it's close.
Yep.
He contorts his body in weird positions.
Yep.
Catches balls 3 feet behind him.
Yeah. He like attacks the ball. Like he doesn't wait for it to come to him. He gets it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love Garrett, man. Listen, like I was saying before, any room you want to go to, the Jets match up talent-wise. Tight end room, receiver room, whatever. You know what I'm saying? The big question mark is the quarterback. I mean, you can't be a good team without a good quarterback. But let me just get my under-the-radar person. There's two of them that I have. I gave you my Carl Lawson,
Mm-hmm.
But my under-the-radar, I'm looking at Solomon Thomas, defensive tackle, playing right next to Quentin Williams. He was a former number 3 pick, first-round pick of the 49ers. Robert Saleh and JD bring him in. They know him. They know his character. They know what he can do. He hasn't played up to that number 3 standard yet, but maybe with all of these guys, I mean, we have a thorough defensive line rotation now. All that pressure isn't on him. You've got Q next to him that everyone knows. And I'm thinking under the radar, he might be able to create some havoc and get some penetration and finally make a solid name for himself without having the entire burden of the defensive scheme on him because it's spread out throughout the defensive line and linebackers and safeties and cornerbacks because now we just have a lot of talent out there all over the place. So I'm looking at Solomon Thomas,
Are we surprised that he's starting?
I'm not surprised that he's starting. Not in a 4-down line set. So it's going to be Carl Lawson, Quentin at the 3, at the nose or at the 5. It'll be Solomon Thomas, and then at the other end, it'll be Jacob Myers.
I'm just surprised that you keep a Sheldon Rankins at the price and Nathan Shepard. I could have said bye to Shepard.
Me too.
Like 3 years ago.
I mean, he just he's never panned out completely. He's not a starter, so you can't. Sheldon Rankins, you're paying money to.
Yeah.
So you keep Rankins, and Rankins is on the depth chart. He's second string behind Williams, which means that. I mean, he's essentially a starter because they're going to rotate.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
right?
Yeah, the rotation is there, so it doesn't matter as much who's the starter because they're all going to get minutes and they're all going to keep their reps down anyway to keep them fresh. So I don't really. To me, it doesn't matter as much.
I think that another one that we haven't mentioned is Jacob Martin. If you look at his tape from Houston last year, he's a problem, especially when you put him in fresh against a tired offensive tackle. But we didn't get to see that in the preseason because they played Ane, they played Clemens. They didn't really showcase Jacob Martin. So I'll throw that in as a bonus under the radar.
That's fine, and we signed Ane back as well, so I love that.
He deserved it. Like Jonathan Marshall is another guy I thought played really well in the preseason, and especially at the end. And
Denzel Smart as well.
I I thought he played. I thought he played well, but I don't think he played better than Marshall. I think that Marshall. I would give Marshall the nod over him.
And Marshall's more of the nose tackle, and Denzel is more of the three. If you
remember, Marshall had like some of the best. I forget what the acronym is. Our PFF guy might know, but it's like a relative athletic index or something like that, where they take all of like the agility drills together and they do a comp score on that. And Jonathan Marshall was like through the roof on that. So I mean, you look at it and you say with the Cager development, some of these other guys, yeah, I'll give JD a mulligan on the collaboration with Gase, right? We looked at that regrade of the draft the other day, and no matter which way you spin it, even with the injuries and everything like that, that draft was terrible.
Yeah, it was.
But if Becton comes back and Mims progresses, and you look at the development of players that you've kept on the roster for 2+ years from that class, free agent, undrafted free agents like Cager and stuff like that, you might be able to salvage something from there. And I am pretty confident in our coaching staff's ability to develop. Maybe even rank them number one in the league at this point in time, even over New England, which I have a lot of respect for their development. But they haven't really developed anybody lately.
No,
they jettisoned people they tried to develop.
They don't even have an offensive coordinator. Get them out of here. They're going down in the tubes this year. See you later.
Yeah, can't draft anybody either. But the score you're talking about is the Spark score, SPARQ. 40-yard dash, short shuttle, bench press, vertical jump.
Yep, good. All right. So, fellas, let's move on. We're going to wind this down. All righty. Top of the season, man. Every year we do this. We have to get the win-loss predictions. You know what I'm saying? We've spoken about a lot of promise. All righty. That's been the key word for this whole episode of the BKBK podcast. A lot of promising things have come out of our mouths in this episode here in this past hour and 10 minutes or so. So with that promise, I don't want to hear anybody saying, oh, we're going to be 4-13 in this new 17-game season. You know what I'm saying? That they've established here since last year. All right? I don't want to hear no 4-13.
What?
Oh, but Zach is playing better, so that's still growth. No. I want to hear something more positive because everything we've been spitting out.
Listen. You're gonna hear the truth. You're gonna hear the truth. No matter what you hear, you're gonna hear the truth out of this group. So I'm not even concerned about that. I don't even know why you went there.
I agree. I agree.
Listen. That was for the audience. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
As my brother says, sure.
Yes. I was trying to get everybody fired up out there. You see this finger pointing? Getting fired up out there, all you Jets fans. Let's go. So, Brian, why don't you lead off with it?
Yeah, it looks like a bent twig out there, man. That finger you wagging. I mean, are we going game to game, or are we just going?
Yeah, let's go game to game.
All right. So I'll go down because I got it right in front of me. So we're playing the Ravens. First game of the season. For me, that's a loss.
Yeah, it's a loss.
I got to win.
Wow, I love it.
I got to win also.
Woo! I'm changing it up. We got to win. I'm going to
win. Okay. All right. Good. Well, I thought we were going to be realistic here, right? On both sides.
I am.
All right. But anyway.
Coming in our house.
I'm going to win.
Coming in hot? Okay. All right. So the Browns, I'm going W.
Me too.
Total. Yep.
Bengals.
So
go ahead, Kyle. Sorry.
Are we all going to do it at the same time or
yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to go win with the Browns, but I really think that these first 4 games are going to be the determination, of whether, we're at 1 win. It's kind of like it's a tough road. We could go 0-4 here and still not be a bad team. So I'm putting that out there. But yes, I'm going win-win.
If we go 0-4, I'm going to go on record saying that our record's going to say we're going to be a bad team. So we need to come out of here with at least 1 win. 2,
What are
I'd
you
be
defining?
ecstatic.
What are you defining as the over/under between a good team or a bad team?
You are what your record says
This
you are.
year,
Yes.
this year,
Are we? Is an 8-win team a good team or a bad team?
I think we need to be at least 8 and 9 in order to feel like we've made progress this year.
All right. So I guess
You
what
said
I'm
at
saying.
least. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I want you to define that, Brian. So you're saying if we're not at least 8 wins, you're saying we haven't showed enough improvement. That's what you're saying.
Yes, in my mind. So if we're not 8 and 9, and so if we want to just rip the Band-Aid off, that's where I picked us to be. Then I feel like it's going to be a disappointing season because
Given the fact that our schedule is probably top 10 difficult in the league, you still feel that way?
Top 5.
Listen, I mean, it's about the feel, right? I mean, the feel goods that Salah's, everything that we mentioned at the top of this show, right? It only comes to fruition. You only keep the locker room. You only keep moving forward if you're moving forward. If we come out of here and we're 6-11, I mean, nobody's gonna be doing cartwheels.
If you're 6-11, and Zach Wilson is top half, top third in the league, top quarter in the league in passer efficiency, QBR. You don't see that as a success?
If he's okay, so if he's
7
top
wins.
quarter, so listen,
7 wins.
if he's top quarter of
Top
the
half.
league,
Top half.
I thought you
Top
said
half.
I thought you said 25%.
Say top half. I got to be realistic. Say top half.
16 or better.
Right. And you have 7 wins. You don't see that as success.
16 or better, and 7 wins. I said 6. So I mean, so if you're talking about 7 wins and we're no, I think it's going to be somewhat of a disappointing season at 7-10.
Not for me.
Okay, so I'll chime in there and say if the Jets football helmet is up on the TV in week 16 with the words "in the hunt" above it, then it's a successful season to me.
Sure.
So I'll back up on that and say I'm coming in at the 8-win point optimistically that Brian is, but I'm saying in those first 4 games, if we don't win 2 of them, we're not going to have more than 6 wins, and that says that the Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills are going to be very good in our division.
Yeah.
So you're in order to get past that 6-win point, you're going to have to beat them twice, or at least once, and then beat New England twice, because you're probably going to beat Detroit. You're probably going to beat Seattle.
And
but we can go through and the Jags. We can go through.
Let's go.
No, not necessarily end the Jags, because the Jags beat the Colts last year in the last game of the season,
right,
and knocked them out of the playoffs.
Right.
So we beat the Bengals. I mean, it doesn't.
You never know, because we beat the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Bengals won the Super Bowl. So
with Mike White, who's better than Chris Strebler. But I digress.
All right, so we went all over the place. All right, so
let's go back. Let's go back to the videotape.
So
go back to Cincinnati.
Bengals is to me, it's a loss.
Loss.
Yes.
Loss. They're getting revenge.
Steelers. I got a loss.
That's at Steelers.
I got a loss, but I think that
it's a winnable game, but I got a loss.
So it's a winnable game.
Yeah,
I wonder how consistent they'll be at quarterback and with their running game, because their offensive line isn't that good.
No.
I wonder. Their defense will always be great, and Mike Tomlin always gives them a chance.
I'm going to go back, and I'm going to say that we're going to lose against the Ravens. We're going to beat
the Browns.
Cleveland. We're going to lose against Cincy, and I'm going to say that we're going to beat Pittsburgh. So we're going to be 2-2 first 4 games.
Okay. All right. So we got the Dolphins next at home. I say it's a win at home.
I say it's a win because it's at home in September.
I'm going to say it's a loss.
Or October.
I got a loss for that.
Me too.
All right. So now we got the Packers, and I got a loss. I don't care where we playing.
Yeah, their defense is sick. I'm going to say loss too.
I'm going to say loss.
Then we got the Broncos. I'm saying that's another loss.
That's a loss.
I concur.
Then we got the Patriots. I got a W because I say we split.
I got a W.
W.
So we're at 4-4.
No, 3 and
Well,
4.
it depends on who you are.
what you.
Depends
Yeah,
on who you are.
yeah. So then I got the Bills. I said we lose both, so that's a loss.
Yes.
Yep.
So what do we? Let's stop here. What do we have at the bye? Let's each individual. How many wins you got at the bye?
This is the bye right here.
Right. Yes.
Me, I have 3.
What week is the bye?
It's right after Buffalo. The first Buffalo.
Okay, so right now I'm 4-4. What games have I not chimed in on?
I don't know. We got Bills, Patriots, Broncos, Packers, Dolphins, Steelers, Bengals, Browns, Ravens. I don't know. So for me, I'm 3-6 right now.
Me
Same.
too.
Same.
All right. So week 9, everybody. That's the last one before the bye. I'm putting that as a loss. I'm 4-5
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
at the bye.
So now
Okay.
we're starting up. We got the Pats. I say it's a loss because we're not going to beat the Pats twice.
I got a loss there too.
All right. I'll take.
I'm going to have to say, if I'm being optimistic, I'm going to say that if there's a team we're going to beat twice in the division, it's New England.
New England. I would agree with that, but
wow.
I'm
You
still
guys
giving it a loss down.
are very aggressive. Bears W.
Win.
I got 4 wins.
Vikings. I have that as a W.
Win.
I have that as a W.
Win.
Where is that? Home or away?
That's at Minnesota. I got him as a loss in Minnesota.
That's a hate win for me. I hate the Vikings.
You know what it is?
So,
You know what it
yeah.
is for me? I think by that point in time, we have gelled. I think that our defense is in a great place. You have Sauce Gardner going against Jefferson, following him around the field. I can see that going on all day. And I can see our running game kicking in by that point in time where we're a good team coming off the Bears. I can see us back to back. That's
Okay.
And by that time, the Vikings running back Cook will be hurt. So
Yeah, he's gonna be tweaked.
Kirk Cousins will have COVID.
Funny.
Yeah. But we're saying so far that we're gonna win 3 games potentially in that division. That the Packers are the only team we're gonna lose to.
the NFC North is terrible.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
The Lions.
So-
If not here, where are we getting the wins from? You tell me. So that.
Week 14 at Buffalo is an L, right?
That's a no.
Yes. Yeah, that's a loss.
Yeah.
So then after that we got the Lions. I mean,
At MetLife.
it's got to be a W. Otherwise,
W. I got a W there.
Jags. I got a W.
W there.
Seahawks. We go on a run. We got 3 in a row, and I think we got a W.
there. I got a W there.
And then the Dolphins. I think we end
Got a
up
loss.
losing.
I got a loss.
All right, so if we're looking at that, like my record, I got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 wins
Yeah.
You
against
got 10.
Wow.
against 1, 2,
7
3,
losses.
4, 5, 6 losses, and now it comes down to Miami. If we have 10 wins going into that Miami game, are we?
Then
talking
you're on
about-
crack, Kyle. But okay.
No, but I'm saying that's maybe I was a little bit.
Okay,
I guess-
so now you got to be where I'm at then. I mean, if that's what you're saying, because if you already talking about 10 wins going into the last game of the season, and now you're saying 7 is let's we packing up our bags at the end of the season. We feel good about 7. How do we feel good about 7?
I mean, I originally was thinking 8, and 6 would be
I'm going for the win
the
in
pessimistic.
the last game of the season in Miami. We got to remember that the head coach there is a rookie head coach as well. They talk about how smart he is, but listen, we have smart coaches too, and we would have gotten better and gelled and everything. And listen, it's a rival. It's an interdivision rival.
So what's your win loss then? What is? Did you add it up? Where you at?
Yeah, 8-9.
8-9. Same here. Kerry, where you at?
I got 7 and 10.
7 and 10.
And to your point, Brandon, although I reach a different conclusion, I think that Miami's going to be fighting for a playoff position, a playoff spot into the last week of the season. And, I think the motivation for the Jets will be to knock them out like they knocked us out,
Yeah. Yep.
during the Bulls era.
Our motivation to be spoiler will be just as high as them trying to get in. Just as high.
I got 7 wins. And again, my point is, if I see that Zach has made significant improvements on his game, his decision making, his ability to find an open receiver, his ability to just do check downs routinely, then I'm okay. Then I'm good with the 7-10 record.
If Zach Wilson gives me 3,600 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions, I'm happy.
With 7 wins or with 8?
With 8.
Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, Mike White, whoever's playing quarterback. If we go into 2023 with us still being in the hunt for the playoffs, I'm happy.
Well, I mean, you look at it this way. So the AFC last year, and here's where you go, right? You have the bottom 3 teams, Jags, Texans, Jets. They had 3 and 4 wins respectively. So then you have the Broncos who were 7 and 10. Then you had the Ravens, Browns 8 and 9, Chargers, Dolphins, Colts 9 and 8. None of which made the playoffs at 9 and 8. And then the first team in, Steelers at 9, 7 and 1. The rest of the teams all had 10 plus wins. Playoff teams.
I think that's going to be the case from now on with a 17-game season. You're going to have double-digit wins to even be in the mix.
Right. So the first tier that below. So the first tier in the hunt 9 and 8. Second tier below that 8 and 9. I'd like to be in the 8 and 9 tier. I feel like that would be, to your point, Kyle, week 16, 17, right? Because then you have 18 weeks. So now, second to last game of the season, we're still in the playoff conversation. I think that's where JD's at, right? Are we still playing meaningful football come December?
Yeah.
Are we not doing mock drafts in December? You know what I mean? Because Brandon was doing mock drafts in
early November.
Late October. Might be October.
He was sitting at the Christmas dinner table for dessert, doing, seeing where we would land.
Yep, I was terrible. It's a terrible feeling, It's like you turn to that for some type of solace of some sort. It's a terrible feeling. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So all right. So the general consensus is basically what most of us are saying 8 and 9. One of us is saying still 7 and 10.
7.
All right. So I mean, either way we look at that, we're still seeing growth because what was our record last year?
4 and 13.
Gee whiz. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm saying, hedging, is somewhere between 6 and 10, depending on those first 4 games. So I know it's a hedge, but it's going to be helped out by Deshaun Watson not playing. It's going to be helped out by a Pittsburgh team that you don't really know their identity yet.
Well, their defense would be.
No, they have an identity. There's just the quarterback. What are you going to get out of him? I guess
and their offensive line is terrible. Their offensive line is not good. That's going to take away from Najee Harris, and that's why I drafted him in that fantasy league.
When I say identity, are they going to be trying to run the ball by throwing screen passes to Chase Claypool? Is that and their new tight end Vermouth?
Baby Gronk? They call him Baby Gronk. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Baby Gronk is the kid on Notre Dame.
The last point I want to make, because I know we're going to wrap it up soon, is sometimes the best deals you don't make are the
Donovan Mitchell
that you make, right? I'm not talking about Donovan Mitchell because we can go there, but that would take another whole entire podcast of 2 hours minimum. I'm talking about JD Hova, right? And who he decided not to resign. So I mean, you have to also, look at that in terms of looking at your ability of your general manager and the moves that he made. He did not make the Deshaun Watson trade. We had the draft capital. but the decision was made to pivot and stay with Zach Wilson. Another decision that was ultimately made not to resign a player was Marcus May. So you couple that with the decisions of not keeping, our, in his mind, all-pro safety that we shipped to Seattle. I think, look, some of the decisions that a GM makes are not just on draft day. So I just wanted to point that out there when we're evaluating J-Hope and JD.
And getting a second rounder for Sam Darnold too. I mean,
man.
And a fourth rounder for Chris Herndon, who is now unemployed as well.
Why you mess with my man Chris?
Your man Darnold too.
I'll say that the Giants and the Seahawks have the worst rosters in the NFL right now. I went to Seahawks training camp earlier in the summer, and I mean that's not a good situation at all. And I feel bad for the people around here because they love all the teams around here. Like, if they started a pickleball team, people would have stickers of it on their car. They love it. It's like a little bit of like when the Sonics left, they said that I'll never not love a team from Seattle. We will back them 100%. And they stay true to it. But as good as the
Seattle, shut up. We're Jets fans over here.
Yeah, we don't care. Crying in your milk.
I'm a Yankee fan, but it's fun to watch the Mariners.
What you crying about?
What you crying about? All right, fellas.
Stop comparing Joe Torre and Todd Bowles. Don't do that.
Please don't. Never.
Oh Lord.
And I'm a Met fan. I won't do that. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Joe Torre is a Met too.
All right,
guys.
Happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
Bad boy up. Thanks for watching another episode of the BKBK podcast, where we want to be able to keep bringing you the latest news and viewpoints of where sports and the culture collide, and the New York Jets reign supreme. So keep watching. You can find us on Facebook on our BKBK podcast fan page, Twitter at BKBK podcast, or on Instagram at BKBK podcast, as well as on YouTube. When you go to YouTube, just type in BKBK podcast. Make sure you guys hit the like and the subscribe button. We need those subscriptions, all right? And, show us some love. And if you can't do that, can't watch us, you can listen to us on iTunes. Go to the BKBK podcast. BKBKpodcast.podomatic.com, all right? To listen to us while you're, driving to go get your cup of Joe, not at Starbucks, at Dunkin' Donuts. Starbucks is overrated, Actually, I shouldn't say that. I'm trying to get some ad revenue, all right? So,
right.
You
Wow.
No Dunkin' Donuts in Washington State at all. Can't find it.
Can't find it, huh?
You got Krispy Kreme?
You got Krispy Kreme out there?
Yeah, we do have Krispy Kreme out here. If I can get there in 10 minutes from here.
I like the donuts with the jelly in it.
Last time I went to Krispy Kreme, it was like 9 o'clock at night. Learned a new trick. They'll give away donuts late at night. They got a drive-through. Oh, wow. I tried to get half a dozen. They're like, take 2 for free. Wow. I'm gonna throw them out anyway.
Okay. All right.
So that's a little pro tip for everybody out there who wants to get fat like me.
Oh man, that's my battle. Oh, here we go. But hey, that's it. Let's go Jets. Let's go Baldwin Bruins. All right, we got the Bruins coming up. All righty, and we'll give you guys a little little news on our Baldwin Bruins as well. And let me shout out my nephew, Declan McLeod. He's playing offensive guard for the Holy Trinity Titans.
Okay.
He won the ship last year. He was starting as a junior and then starting again this year. Hopefully they do well. I'm going to be going to a game or two out there as well for Trinity. All right.
Nice.
Plus, they're the Trinity Jets. So, woo! Go for that green and white.
No, they're the Titans.
Can't make it up.
I thought they were the Titans.
Oh, yeah, my bad. They were the Titans. Sorry.
Yeah,
my bad. Yeah, the Titans. Which were the Jets before.
Yeah.
So there's a relationship right there. And the same colors. So thanks for the correction, Kyle. I appreciate that. All right, guys and girls. We're out like stout. Our names are Steven, and we're leaving. our names are Paul, and it's up to all of y'all. All right.
I guess that means I dropped the music.
Yeah, start the music. Look at Carrie. He knows I went real 80s on him. So check him out. Check him out, Carrie. He's not. I went 80s corny. I don't care.
Don't look Michael Clemens in the eye.
Nah.
The way.
Don't look at his girl neither.
Don't look at this girl in the club at all. You be finished off.